evil, this evil handbook, a guide to evil. And it's not, you all. I promise you, I put my hands on this. He gave me a copy. Dr. Al-Hamdani gave me a copy of the Quran, and I put it in my hand. You all, I promise you, it was one of the most inspirational things I have ever read in my entire life. And I read just the first page, and I was blown. I said to myself, oh my gosh, that is the most inspirational piece of literature I have ever read in my entire life. I promise you, I recommend that each of you only have to buy a copy. Just look it up on the internet.
Oh, just ask me, I bring you one.
Yes, Dr. Al-Hamdani, he gave me a copy right out of his... Right. he gave me, yeah. Oh, yeah, here you go. I got plenty. Who wants more?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is inspirational. It is the most heartwarming piece of literature I've ever read in my entire life, and that is the God honest truth. Zandra K. Hall, you were here on our Trayvon Martin special, the highest rated show in the series of Late Night with Ed Moore III. What was that like? Coming onto the show and discussing such a controversial case.
It was one because when we did the show, it was when it first broke out.
Yes.
So we did the show. It was that Friday. The case just broke out into
like that Sunday before. Mm-hmm.
So at this period of time, Zimmerman was not arrested. So that was a big thing we were talking about. Like, why is this man not arrested at all? And then the whole racial profiling thing. Did he say this racial slur? Did he not? That was all going on at that period of time. So it was fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And, people were upset about it. It was one of those cases, like, I want to say it was the Rodney King of our generation.
It was. It definitely
I don't
was.
know if I'm putting it up too high, but I feel like that was the Rodney King of what we have seen.
The Rodney King.
So
yeah, and how many of y'all remember the O.J. Simpson?
Yeah,
The O.J. Simpson trial. I mean, think about it. Think about how big that was put up, and it seemed like every single day you saw Trayvon Martin's face on the screen. Every day you saw something about George Zimmerman on the screen. Every tidbit of that case, if so much as a mouse squeaked in that case, breaking news. The little breaking news music comes on. And so, yeah, and we covered the Late Night with Ed Moore III. We covered that case for about 2 weeks. And once things kind of died down, I said, okay, I think we can get back in the regular, mold and gel of our regularly scheduled programming. And just think about how much has happened since that show.
Yeah.
This show aired on March 23rd. It is now, well, you all know what today is. Okay. And if you think about it, think of how much just in the past 3 weeks, in the past 3 to 4 weeks, a lot has happened. When we aired that show, everybody was up in arms. The Black Panthers, oh Lord, they would go out in the streets, putting about.
Al Sharpton had a job again.
Yeah. And Jesse Jackson.
Yes.
And if you think about it, yeah, and we were so upset. Everybody was so upset, and we were saying, arrest him. People were starting riots, and people were starting to get angry.
White people was mad.
Yeah.
And then
white people was mad.
You got a problem.
It's for real.
And then the situation
it's for real.
And then the situation in Tulsa happened that same week, in which 3 African Americans were randomly killed by 2. Well, one of them they're trying to debate on whether or not he is actually of white descent or Native American descent. But 3 African Americans in Tulsa were randomly killed. And this was a random crime, and it was in a black neighborhood. So they were trying to determine whether or not this was a hate crime. And one thing I can say, I was so scared. I called my mom. I said, Mom, something is happening. Something is going on in this country, and people need to calm down. It's gonna be like 1965 of people.
Yeah, like didn't he just say that I'm just mad because my dad got robbed by a black man?
Yes,
something?
One of the men in that case, his father was murdered by an African American man, and all the victims who died were African American men. And I take a social work class, and we study why people do what they do. Not that it excuses it in any way, but I understand his thought process. I didn't say I excuse his behavior. I understand his thought process as to why he felt, ugh, black guy killed my dad. I'm gonna go out and shoot these black men, you know. So, at any point, did any of you all feel that you were not ready to be a part of this experience? At any point during the show, did any of you all felt that you were not ready to be a part of this show?
Well, yeah, after being on the show about 5 times, I was ready.
You were ready?
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
It's natural to me now.
It's
I'm
natural
comfortable and everything. But I think like some of the two other guests, I think some of them probably weren't ready. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was fresh though. It's been so long though. Yeah.
It has. It's been quite a while. Have anybody in here felt like they weren't ready, or they were just like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this? Because I know it's happened. I've had actually people turn me down and say, no, Ed, I'm not gonna do it. I'm scared. And I'm like, and I say, no, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's a great experience. And one thing I can say that all of my guests, each and every last one of you, have in common is that you all had some kind of apprehension at first, perhaps, possibly, even if it was just a little bit. But as soon as you came on board, you shined like a star.
Your personality, that make everybody on ease.
Well, thank you, and I try to do that. I really do. I want my guests to feel loved. I want my guests to feel like you belong. What do I tell all of you after we came and taped? You belong here. You're here for a reason. And one thing I've told all my guests is that there is something special about each and every one of them that I have noticed from afar. Is that people don't realize. People think I just randomly choose people to be on this show. No, I don't. I don't. There's something about each and every one of you that I might have noticed from afar. And I said, okay, I got a show for them.
He gonna boost my rating.
I said, I have a show for them. And, you know, actually, Kara Simone, I told you the reason, what gave me the inspiration for you all's show, the Female Empowerment. I'm going to show you just how much I pay attention to things around me. I saw a group of you and your female friends sitting at the table in the cafeteria here on the campus of Jacksonville State University. It was about you and about 10 other women at that table. And I said to myself, oh, okay, that's a very animated group of women sitting over there. And y'all were laughing and having fun. And about 5 seconds later, I said, I'm going to do a show on female empowerment. Bam. Just like that. It was that, I promise you, it was that fast. I'm going to do a show on female empowerment. Because seeing all of you women collectively gathered together at that table gave me the idea to do a show on women in America. Adam Buchanan, let me ask you something. What I'm sorry, get my thoughts together here. Was there anything that you learned from making the appearance on the Reality Television in America show? Or was it more so just a conversation of stuff that you already knew?
Oh, man, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how, the reality TV shows were set up and everything, how they rode Jeeps back to camp and Survivor and everything.
Oh, yes.
Blew my mind.
Yeah. We discussed, for anyone who didn't get a chance to hear the Reality Television in America show, we talked about how you think that the people, when they go to the tribal camps, for council and they vote people off the island, you think they're walking. No, they're not. They're getting driven there in Escalades. They're getting driven in Escalades with the windows tinted, with the windows blacked out so they can't see where they're going. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, then makeup crew comes in and makes them look all nasty like they walked up.
Makes them look all nasty, and so yeah. And I remember Tori D. Green, who was also on that show, he said, I wonder what they feed I always wondered if they were on a deserted island, what did they feed the camera crew? and what do they feed the camera crew, and what do they eat? Do they stay there on the island? Do they go off in a hotel somewhere? And those are some things to think about. Obviously, with anything that anybody has had to encounter in life, all of you, I'm sure, have thought about what it was going to be like coming onto this show. I'm sure all of you thought in your head, okay, this is what coming onto Ed's show is going to be like. And just like with anything in life, before you experience a particular thing that you're about to encounter, your mind kind of wanders as to what that experience will be like. Were your thoughts your thoughts about coming onto the show, were they what you thought it would be, or was it something different? I want to ask that to Miss Chandra B. Jones, who was on our female empowerment show. Did you were your thoughts coming on the show? Was it just what you thought it was going to be, or did you say, "Whoa, that was not what I expected"? And was that a good thing or a bad thing that you didn't expect it?
The show was more than what I expected, and that's a good thing. I always take an issue to, or the opportunity to speak on female empowerment. As part of my profession, I am a female, so I always want to exemplify myself to young women, some things that I can learn from, and this just gave me a platform and some late night activity to kind of, if young women were listening, they could really kind of hear me out and maybe get a younger woman's perspective and or another young woman's perspective on things. So it was a great opportunity.
Had you ever been on the radio before?
I had not been on the radio before.
Were you scared?
I was not scared. As I spoke with you, I told you it was going to be interesting trying to get out the house with my husband.
Like, where are you going? Where are you going at this time of night? I'm going to do a show.
I'm dressing up to get out and
What show?
A late night show. Yeah. So, but it was interesting. It was a great thing. I really enjoyed it. It was a good thing. My husband, he really tried to hear me out on it. So.
That's good.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones, you came here on the Whitney Houston tribute, which was I look back on that day and I'm still just kind of, it's going to take the world a little bit to get over that. Y'all, would everyone here kind of agree? Yeah. And when Sparkle comes out, $1 billion hit, just because Whitney's in it, just because Whitney Houston is in it. And, I think one thing that we all can agree on from that night when Whitney Houston died, the world grew cold.
Yeah.
The world really grew cold. And I remember I was watching the news that night and I was going through my Facebook feed and all of a sudden I heard somebody say, "Rest in peace, Whitney Houston." Yeah. And I said, what? Because there was a prank that was about 8-9 years ago that said she had died and we found out that she wasn't dead. And so I said to myself, let me Google this. How many of y'all went to Google? Yeah. Everybody, okay, 1, 2.
I got a story to tell.
I have a story to tell now.
I stay in the Grove, right? And we did not have any cable that weekend that she passed. So I'm thinking, I'm on Twitter and I see that. I'm like, man, what? Twitter killed everybody. For real. So I'm like, all right, this not true. So I called my grandma, and when my grandma told me it was true, I knew it was true because we didn't have no cable, we didn't have no internet, so it was like
you messed up the Grove.
Go Grove.
She the apartment complex she's referring to, the Grove, that's an apartment complex that many of our university students live here in the city of Jacksonville. It's an apartment complex right across the street from the university. Mr. Jones, what was your experience like coming onto the show? Was it what you thought? Was it not what you thought? Did it kind of meet your expectations, or did it not?
Well, actually, when you told me to come on the show, I was already part of a radio show.
Okay.
If you ever heard a Girl Talk with Lynn J, and they didn't know if it was going to clash with ours, we actually had a platform. So coming on your show, I was like, man, y'all ain't called me, y'all ain't let me know what type of... But then when you let me know it was about Whitney Houston, I was like, oh, bet. That's easy to talk about. I mean, she's a legend, she's an icon. Everybody said bad things about her, but we actually lost a huge representation of our culture. You know what I mean? There will never be another Whitney Houston to come along.
There will never.
Everybody will be measured up to the success that she had. It's amazing that lady could go through decades in her career of highs and lows and still sing better than some of these other performers at their best. Yeah.
And artists don't even sing anymore.
No, they don't. They're auto-tune.
They auto-tune. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love, people out there, entertainers like Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Nicki Minaj. I like them. They're entertaining. Right. But I'm talking about singing. No. Sing. I'm talking about sing. Whitney Houston could sing. People like Mariah Carey sang. Okay, even beautiful superstars like Aaliyah, just taken out just instantly like that. And I believe had people even like Aaliyah, had Aaliyah still been alive today, she would have been like what be kind of, you know how I'm saying, you know how Beyonce is a big mega superstar. I believe had Aaliyah still been alive, she would have had that same status. Because she was on her way, and she was on her way. And the thing about Whitney Houston is that, you know, I think what hurt the world the most is that we really thought she was gonna make a comeback.
Right.
We thought that she was doing okay because she had told everybody that she was clean.
Yeah.
She told everybody, yeah, we were